it's playing. All right, you guys, I am back. I'm gonna do another astrology video, and in this one, I'm gonna teach you how to set up a solar return chart. Now, before we get into this, I'm gonna tell a quick story as to what I did using a solar return forecast once, and it was for my younger sister. On January 18th of 2016, I told her that she was going to be having a baby close to January 18th of 2017. Her due date was January 22nd of 2017, and she actually had the baby on January 31st. So I did that once, and then again a couple years later, I went up to her in May and told her to take a pregnancy test because I thought she was pregnant again. And sure enough, in middle of June is when they found out they were having another baby. So I was, for some reason, I was able to accurately predict a handful of pregnancies because that wasn't the only time I did that. So using these charts, you can get a really good idea of the year to come, and I'm going to show you how to do that. For this test subject, I'm actually going to use my mother because her birthday is the day after I'm making the video. So I'm using her as my test subject. Her birthday is March 24th. That actually doesn't matter. When it comes to a solar return chart or any type of planetary return chart, you go and you look right there at a symbol for the sun. You want to know what degree and what minute it was in. So if you don't understand degrees and minutes, you're going to go have to watch the other video where I explain degrees and minutes. So we got the third degree of Aries in the 39th minute. What you do is you go and find the day that the sun is in the third degree, 39th minute of whatever year you're looking at. So I'm going to go to 2022, and I've already got the information somewhat filled in. Now, my mother was born in the state of New York. She has lived in the state of Washington for almost 50 years, 50 some odd years. What I do, and this is just me, is I use the original birth city because what that does is it will line up the houses properly. These lines right here will change if I put in where we live up here in Washington now. So I'm going to use Scotia, New York, because that's where she was born. And now I'm going to go try and find when it is in the number I want. You see, we got the third degree, 59th minute for March 24th, and I put it noon. So we're going to want to go a little bit earlier in the day, and we want to adjust it. That'll be 20 minutes earlier. So we're going to adjust it by a few hours. We're going to go 6. See, now we're in 3:44. Go a little bit earlier. Very rarely does it line up at the exact same time. Very rare. I don't think I've ever seen a natal chart. Nope, you see, so we're at 3 a.m. Just a little more. 3:15. And again, we're not paying attention to anything other than we're on this chart. The degree and the minute. So we got 37. We need to go a little bit later. $38. 38 still. There we have a 39. So you can see she was born at 2:48 a.m. At 3:55 a.m. is when I'm looking for that sign right there. So once you've got the solar return chart you want, now you can go online and you can punch in solar return chart, and they will calculate it for me. I use the alab.com way because I like the way these charts look better than the others. Not all chart generators will color code those planets for me, and I really like it. I really like those planets color coded. So once you got your chart, you start reading it somewhat similar to a natal chart. If you've got a lot of planets in this house, it's going to be in a very Aries dominant first house chart. This interests me right here because this is material possessions. This means like new car, new house, new stuff. Very interesting to me. Now, say all of these planets were up here in this area of the chart, right here. That would lead me to believe more education and job and stuff like that. But since the planets are down here, and that's only in this instance. If you do a different solar return chart, God, that's a tongue twister. You'll find planets all sorts of spread out. Like if all of these planets were in that fourth house, that's a new children in the fifth house. This area is the new children type chart, and that's what I used on my sister's solar return chart when I predicted her pregnancies. Now, I'm not going to go into explaining every aspect that's in the solar return chart, but you do have a butterfly chart. That's another thing I'll get into is chart patterns. But you can see there's going to be a little bit of negative energy going there, showing difficult times. This probably means some sort of physical affliction because I see Mars and Venus and Saturn, something in there. So there's a lot to digest in a solar return chart, and it usually takes me about an hour to really get into it. So I'm not going to take that long. But what I also am going to tell you, I get real sporadic when I share. I get little information popped in my head that I want to tell you. So now what I want to tell you is when it comes to the solar return chart, you want to go back to the natal chart and then look at the dominant planets and the chart ruler. So I would look at the sign of Capricorn, and I would find that her chart ruler is Saturn as well as Uranus, and then I would pay extra special attention to those two planets in the solar return chart. Then what you can do is take your daily transits, which I do explain in another video, and then you apply them to the philosophy of how this chart's going to turn out. Because there's Aquarius in the first house. Again, the term I'm about to use is intercepted. That means the entire sign, all 30 degrees, is encompassed in one house. So, let's see. Yep, we have, I can use this as an example right here. You see how the entire house is in the sign of Cancer? That means the house is intercepted in the sign of Cancer, where the sign of Aquarius is intercepted in the first house for that one. So that term applies to every chart you're going to read. Now, once again, I'm not going too much into this simply because those are massive stelliums, man. That's a lot to read up on. There aren't any good books written about stuff like this yet. At least I haven't been able to find one. So what I would do as an astrologer when I'm wanting to get into future day-to-day predictions is I would go locate the current. Alright, you guys, I got everything fixed up. We had a little mess up there because I live in a weekly rate motel room and my neighbors started screaming and yelling and you could hear it in the background. So I had to edit that stuff out. So what we're doing now, actually, and I actually put in brought up a new chart. So we're looking at this one and we were discussing transits. And what you do is you get your transit chart. So I set this up for March 24th. And remember, when you set up a transit chart, you are looking at the rising sign. So I set up the rising sign for this year to the same as it was at when she was born, which was at 3:48 a.m. as opposed to 2:48 a.m. back when she was born. So this is the current daily transit chart for my mom. And what I would do is compare this to this and then realize that this is just a general philosophy. These aren't going to be extremely prominent in your personality. These aspects right here are not going to be personality characteristics. They're going to be just how easily the planets express themselves over the upcoming year. So there's going to be some difficulties emotionally. No, wait, wrong chart. Yeah, wait a minute, that's the right chart. That's the right chart. I'm looking at the sun. But no. So there's going to be difficulties expressing emotional attributes because that's indicated with the difficulties between the moon and the sun. But there is going to be a lot of easy emotions on the inside because you see on the inner person. So you can see that by the good aspect pointing to the planets in the first house. So like with everything, there's going to be good things and bad things. And I don't know. I'm kind of going blank minded, so probably gonna. Where did that stupid mouse go? Right there. All right. So if you got the daily transit chart, and notice they're very close timed, very close in time between the daily transits and the solar return. So shoot, going blank. Having another stoner moment right now. So once you get an idea of the philosophy of philosophy of the solar return chart, then you look at the transits to see when that's going to trigger and happen. So judging by this, I would say next Aquarius and Pisces. So it's going to take about a year. It's going to take about a year for these energies to really manifest themselves because you're going to want the sun, which is right there today, to go all the way around and, like say, go all the way around and then transit these planets as well. As the sun transits those planets, that's when you're going to experience whatever it is that you're going to get. So what also you have to go into is when the other planets cross transit over each planet. Like Venus will be transiting over these planets a lot faster than Saturn. Saturn won't get here this year, so she's not gonna have, my mom's not gonna have Saturn be transiting her sun over the next year. She will, however, have Venus transit that point. So when Venus is transiting the sun, that's going to trigger something in this solar return chart. So you would go and find when Venus is in the 3rd degree, 39th minute of Aries, and that's when you would get the Venus return, the Venus transit for this solar return chart. And that's where it gets complicated. So, no, it's already complicated before that. And I'm going to go ahead, let you guys just digest the information I gave you. Hope I did a good job explaining some stuff because there's a difference between a solar return and a progressed chart. These are not progressed charts. I don't use progressed charts, so I'm not going to make a video on them. Again, I'll grab my book. If you want to learn how to do solar returns, you're going to need to know your basics, and this is a great book to go get the basics. I'll throw in a link to the books available on Amazon down in the comments. And once again, please like and subscribe. Give me some ideas for videos, and I hope you enjoyed it.